Hey, American contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked it out, American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Northern Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Northern Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I, as a contractor, appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor who's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
What's up, everybody? Lead meteorologist John Choquette here, alone in the studio, as most of us are at Hurricane Ida. You just saw that video from Derek not too long ago in Houma, Louisiana. I'm here in the studio here in Edmond, Oklahoma. We're going to give a breakdown of what to expect today with Hurricane Ida. Yes, there's a hail risk. We're not even going to talk about today. This is all about Ida, as we're going to be making landfall here in a little bit. Looks like Hurricane Ida is going to be making history today. Right now, the most recent update is going to bring that to a very high-end Category 4. Potentially going to be one of the strongest hurricane landfalls in Louisiana history, which is crazy because almost exactly to the day a year ago, Hurricane Laura impacted, and that was the strongest hurricane to impact Louisiana. And of course, today is the 16th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, which is probably the most infamous hurricane in modern times, and unfortunately is going pretty much over the same basic area that Katrina impacted. So not great. There's going to be catastrophic wind damage. Expect what you saw in Lake Charles from Hurricane Laura in areas of southeastern Louisiana today, especially in the towns of Houma and Thibodaux and just all that, the southeastern sections of Louisiana. New Orleans, you are going to have a chance for some pretty intense winds as well. I don't think you guys are going to see the 150, but I'll break down what we're going to be seeing there as well. And I guess the biggest question of all are the levees going to hold in New Orleans? There's going to be a serious amount of stress. This is probably going to be the biggest test that New Orleans is going to have with their levees since they were rebuilt after Hurricane Katrina. Really hoping that they do make it, because Katrina, as we all know, was a utter catastrophe, and we really don't want that to happen again. So this is what we're looking at. This is Hurricane Ida right now. It's a satellite and radar currently. I have it zoomed in over the area. We are getting very close to landfall. Look at this very open eye. I'm going to zoom in here. Here's Grand Isle, which may not exist anymore after this is all said and done. We're getting very, very close to the initial landfall. The Grand Isle is basically sandbar with some people on it. And so this will make technical landfall in the next half hour or so, but it's mostly swamplands here, so don't expect much weakening between Grand Isle and further points inland like Houma and Thibodaux, because this thing is a monster with winds in excess of 140 miles an hour. The hurricane hunters just went through most recently. This is the 10 a.m. update here. We found winds of 150 miles an hour and the pressure at 933 millibars. If you guys watched Derek about half an hour ago or so, this thing just, the bottom dropped out of it last night. Very strong Category 4. This is the same level of strength wind speed wise as Laura a year ago, but pressure wise it's lower. It's more intense than Laura was. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a retroactive upgrade with this when it does make landfall, just based on what we're kind of seeing here. Winds up to 150 miles an hour, very possible. This is what the tropical track has. I have it as a 4, or they have the National Hurricane Center has a 4, pretty much going directly over Houma, Louisiana, and passing off for the worst case scenario for storm surge for New Orleans. Basically, you have a big fetch of water on the eastern side, so you have the onshore flow from the counterclockwise spin of a hurricane, and all that's going to pour into New Orleans this afternoon and into this evening. And it's really going to be, are we going to overtop the levees? Are they going to break the levees? Are the levees going to hold and New Orleans ends up being okay? There will be wind damage, of course. I mean, Hurricane Katrina was weaker than Ida is going to be. They're probably going to see winds similar in strength. We saw the roof rip off the Superdome from Katrina, so expect quite a bit of wind damage, but the biggest concern, of course, for New Orleans is going to be that storm surge. Unfortunately, a lot of areas here along the center path, they do not have the infrastructure to handle it. They will definitely be seeing some intense storm surge. And this is at 7 o'clock, 105 mile per hour wind maximum. That's still a Category 2 hurricane, and this is right by Baton Rouge. So this is going to be very impactful for the most densely populated part of Louisiana, from the Baton Rouge to New Orleans area, and it will then continue off to the north. And of course, after about Monday, yeah, we're flying off into the Atlantic, but it's looking like this is going to be extremely impactful for a lot of folks across the area here. Watches and warnings, you got tropical storm warnings all the way well up into central Mississippi because of the fact that we're going to be seeing those winds in excess of 40 miles an hour well past Jackson, Mississippi. The most impactful zone, of course, again here in southeastern sections of Louisiana, from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, all the way up to like Hattiesburg. You could see some pretty intense winds there. And here we are. This is what we are expecting here at our office for general landfall. The landfall location, since, notice how, I guess I'll go on the map here, how just there's not a lot of land here. We're going to say Grand Isle and then eventually the general Houma area. I just zoomed in southeastern sections of Louisiana. So it's going to be just south and west of where New Orleans is going to be. And this is going to be happening about half an hour to an hour from now through about 2 p.m. That's when your landfall is going to be. The most intense winds here for where the Ale Trace team is located, they're going to see their most intense weather probably after about 1 o'clock. That's going to be, they're having to relocate to Thibodaux. Unfortunately, in Houma, they are unable to get a parking garage. They need elevation, they need cover to safely cover this storm. They don't want to put themselves at risk, and anybody chasing these storms, the whole goal is to not put yourself in a situation where you are going to become a victim of the hurricane yourself. You need to go in there, document it, and make it so that way we are able to provide help afterwards and not have to worry about ourselves needing help as well. Intensity, I'm saying Cat 4 up to 155 mile an hour winds. It's going to be very close to a Category 5. It's going to be just going to come down to probably a measurement or two that they're going to find in damage, or maybe a wind various ASOS station, a little wind measurement device that doesn't blow away. Lake Charles, when we were there, we had problems with that where after about 130 miles an hour, those wind devices start blowing away. So, and we're expecting 12 to 16 foot of storm surge, and this is going to be in the Houma area. Grand Isle, I think the entirety of that island is going to be overrun with water, probably as we are talking right now. So this is going to be a very, very dire situation for anybody who did not evacuate if you were under those mandatory evacuation orders. So this is the 75 mile per hour wind speed probabilities. I have all the cities listed here from New Orleans to Gulfport, and this is chances of seeing at least hurricane force winds. So it's at least Category 1, 75 mile an hour. Notice here you have New Orleans. So this is pretty much the entirety of New Orleans. 80% chance by 8 p.m. that most of New Orleans has been impacted. 41% chance by 8 p.m. in the Baton Rouge area. Houma, 98%. That's about as close as you're going to get. Oh no, hang on guys, battery's almost at 1 second. Hey, all right, wouldn't be a video, wouldn't be a hail trace video without my batteries dying, right? So thank you for letting me know. Since again, I have no producer, it's just me at the office. So it said it was at 100%, but these things are liars, apparently. You guys have seen the deal. So anyway, I don't know where I cut off. Point is, where you see the purple in here, that is a guarantee that you're going to be seeing destructive winds. You're seeing winds that are going to be causing damage. 75 mile per hour, hurricane force winds, that's going to do at least minimum roof damage, minimal damage to trees come down. There's gonna be widespread power outages from this. A crippling power outage event for southeastern Louisiana, and all the way up into possibly even sections of Mississippi. Rainfall is the other major story here. I just have this running all the way through to about noon tomorrow. And look at this bullseye. This is just one model we have here. It's showing 15 inches of rain in Bay St. Louis. Most of the rain, the heaviest rain is going to be off to the east of the eye. So that does mean that New Orleans, this particular run does have New Orleans only about 6 inches of rain, about 6 inches of rain. That's on top of the storm surge. Hammond, notice how close they're trying to get, being a little too fancy here, trying to figure out where exactly the heaviest rain is. The point is the New Orleans area could see possibly up to a foot of rain, possibly only as little as 6 inches of rain today, but all the way off to the east, Gulfport, sections of coastal Mississippi. Your biggest story is going to be getting 5 to possibly as much as 20 inches of rain here in the Biloxi, Gulfport, Bay St. Louis area. Baton Rouge, probably not as much rain. You're going to have a lot more wind, but most of your rain is going to be pretty much off to your east. Big deal, you're going to get the storm right on top of you. So your wind is going to be absolutely destructive. The storm surge is going to be probably devastating, but the rain isn't going to be as crazy as everything else. So again, tons of rain here, just adding insult to injury with these risks for the area. And of course, storm surge potential. If you're in red, it's bad news. That's really what it comes down to. The areas in white, these are actually towns that are levied off. So it takes basically overtaking the levees and breaking the levees to cause storm surge there. Unfortunately, this also means a lot of these areas are below sea level. Notice here in Houma, look how high that storm surge is going to be. Anywhere in the red is in that extreme zone, over 8-9 foot storm surge. So that's inundation. So I'm 6'2". That would be up over the top of the screen from what our camera angle is. This right here is probably about 7 foot or so. So it would be over top of my head, just the water level. So that's why the team is leaving Houma right now. They're unable to get any kind of elevation. They're going up to Thibodaux, where notice there is a much lower chance of lots of storm surge. There still will be quite a bit of flooding, however. Point is to stay safe. And then of course New Orleans here, yeah, you have a levee system. Everywhere where there isn't levees, you don't have levee protection. They had a mandatory evacuation, and that is because it is going to definitely surge pretty bad. And again, the big question is going to be, does the water overtop the levees? And if it does start overtopping the levees, it's only a matter of time before, unfortunately, you end up getting a break. So again, really hoping, got those fingers crossed, that we do not break the levees. It's going to be very impactful for New Orleans as it is. We do not want a repeat of Hurricane Katrina. So city impacts, we are going to break it down here for New Orleans itself. What are all of the things that we're expecting? Tornado, there is always a tornado potential with hurricanes. New Orleans looks like it's going to be close enough to the center of the storm where only a tornado or two is possible, and that's going to be probably the next hour or two before things kind of just get more intense as you get closer to the eye of the storm. Again, that 8 to 12 foot storm surge, very likely. It's very high storm surge, almost extreme storm surge, possibly about as bad as it can get without it being Hurricane Katrina. I think Katrina overall, at the end of the day, Katrina will have had a higher storm surge. It's a much bigger storm than Ida is, but the path is going to be more favorable, unfortunately, for major storm surge in New Orleans. Flooding, again, crazy amounts of rain are very possible. I said 15 to 20 inches are possible at maximum in sections of the New Orleans metro area. And I'm thinking winds up to about 100 miles an hour in New Orleans. Again, I think the most intense winds, the winds that are going to be close to that 150, are going to be just south of New Orleans, but the outer eye wall that could still have that triple-digit wind, very likely going to be hovering right over the Mississippi River there in the New Orleans area. So high for that potential for winds in New Orleans. And then here for Baton Rouge, inland a little bit. So I have NA for storm surge. Doesn't really look like be too much. I mean, there'll obviously be lots of flooding, high flooding potential. 5 to 8 inches of rain are possible in the area. They could also see that wind gust up to 100. It's also very possible that Baton Rouge at the end of the day could see stronger wind gusts than New Orleans if the center of the storm goes right over them as a Category 2 storm with wind gusts up to 105. So we'll be watching that super carefully. Of course, we're mapping everything. We'll be alerting you when things are happening here. And of course, we're going to have live coverage during the event on location for as long as the cell towers are up. So chances are Derek and the team will be live covering the storm, much like we did with Laura. And we're also, like with Laura, eventually, in a very intense hurricane like this, these cell towers do go down and we lose service. Doesn't mean they're in trouble, it just means that they're unable to broadcast. And when that does happen, I'll likely come on here, do a little bit of live coverage for landfall and just kind of showing what's happening in the areas via radar. It won't be as exciting, I'm sure, as being on the ground, but just to give you that coverage all day today, we will be here doing coverage on our social media platforms. Of course, as always, follow us because we will be just kind of updating intermittently as things occur. I think the next couple hours here is when things are really going to go downhill in the areas where Derek's located. Tornado 2 is possible in Baton Rouge, just like with New Orleans. It's going to be in the next few hours, and then when the storm does come over top the Baton Rouge area this evening after about 6 p.m. is when the much more intense winds will impact them. So San Francisco, the categories of hurricanes, why 4 and 5 are such a big deal. Category 1s, you get minimum damage, only 74 to 95 mile per hour winds. Category 2, that's going to be a little more intense. The Hurricane Sally last year was a very high-end Category 2 storm. Does some damage, definitely messes up some palm trees in here, but it's not going to be as intense as the major hurricanes. There's Category 3. I'm trying to think of Zeta was a 3 last year in the area for a point of reference. And then this is where things get pretty intense. This is what somewhere between the upper ends of Category 4 and Category 5, yeah, there's going to be some homes that are, there's going to definitely be some very intense damage with this. So I really hope, folks, if you guys know people who live in southeastern Louisiana, I hope they evacuated if they were asked to be evacuated. This is going to be, in some areas, a potentially unsurvivable storm if you do not have a concrete shelter or elevation. So we'll be updating you guys through the rest of today. Of course, keep an eye on, especially on our Facebook page. That's most likely where most of our simulcasting is going to be. I think we're doing some stuff on Instagram. I think we're doing some stuff on TikTok. But if you're a YouTube watcher, follow us on our Facebook page. That is where we'll be able to stream. It's hard to restream things everywhere when you have limited cell coverage. So we are going to really kind of prioritize our Facebook. It's easiest to do on our phones. So check it out there. Derek will be doing live coverage updates, and hopefully we'll have live continuous coverage through the eye wall of the storm until they lose service. So you can give us a call. We can get you on the ground running here for the recovery efforts after Ida passes by tomorrow. Give us a call, 855-334-4245. Email us info@hailtrace.com or visit our website at hailtrace.com for more details. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back later, next couple hours. We'll be doing live coverage on location, and when their service goes out, we'll do live coverage here. Hopefully, we get it there the whole time. You don't see me again until tomorrow, and if not, I'll see you later. Have a great day, everybody. Oh, I have to end it. That's right.